Quick story about something that happened to me when I first started in this industry. When I was going, my first restaurant, which was my internship for my culinary school. I went there, and within the first week, I was thrown into the deep end, as it were, and I was working the busiest station on a very busy restaurant. So I got used to the equipment, old ratty equipment, knobs missing, whatever. Now this is a restaurant that was a very, very well-maintained restaurant. It was just a very busy restaurant. They did everything they could to make sure their equipment was good. So getting back to my story, within the first week, I was required to, beginning of the shift, to temp everything in the pull-out drawer coolers underneath the grill. I think we did that three times before shift, during shift, and after shift. Over the day, because it was 2 shifts in that day, or I can't remember. I worked until the beginning of the second shift. But anyway, over a day or two, I noticed that the temperature kept on rising, and I wrote it down, rising. Oftentimes, if you've ever done this, you'll know that when you temp something in the morning after you've put everything in there and you're doing your prep work and you're opening the drawer, closing the drawer, opening the drawer, 41, 50 degrees or 41, 42 degrees, you don't worry about it too much because when you keep it closed for a few minutes, it starts to go back down. All right. After a while though, 45, 50, 55, so now we have a problem. So the chef comes in, he's not happy, man. He's like, dadgummit, I have to replace this freaking thing. We worked on it, 6 or 7 times before you got here. So, and I says, well, look at the bright side. It's probably been here since the beginning, since the restaurant opened. Now the restaurant had been open about 27, 28 years at the time. It might have been even 30. And I said that not knowing, but I looked at this piece of equipment and it was in rough shape. I mean, the handles were all broken, scuffed up, whatever. Even though we were required to maintain it, the use just did it to it. When I said that, I said, well, it's not, it doesn't owe you anything. You got 30 years out of it. He started laughing at me. He said the thing was 9 months old. Okay? That was my first realization of just how hard we use our equipment in this industry. We use our equipment hard. Now, not every restaurant does 300, 400, 500 covers a day like we did. All right. We did 300 covers in 2 hours every day at lunch. All right. But be that as it may, they go through hell. All right. So this chapter 14, talks about the different types of equipment. You have to understand what the equipment is. What are some of the issues with those equipment? What do we got to do to make sure that it doesn't look like it's 40 years old or 30 years old when it's 9 months old? All right. Making decisions, good decisions on what equipment to buy based on features, of course, but also durability and the warranty, and of course, energy usage and all that stuff. But if it's great in energy and all that other stuff, but it doesn't last 4 weeks, then you need to make another decision. So read this chapter. There's a lot of information, a lot of different stuff that seems to be kind of all over the place with different types of equipment. For those of you who've never worked in a restaurant, some of you might be amazed about the different types of things that we have in a restaurant. But anyway, when we buy things, when we have things, pieces of equipment, we need to look at a couple things. First off, the safety issues, the durability and the safety. Safety is a big deal. First off, the safety for the people using it against injury, right? We don't want really, really dangerous equipment. And I tell you, that piece of equipment that was 9 months old and looked 30 years old, all the equipment looked like that. If a piece of equipment looks like it's 50 years old and it's not, generally speaking, what makes it look old can be safety issues. Grills with the griddles not being able to seat so they fall. Especially things that cut, peelers or anything like that. You have to make sure that if it gets worn, it doesn't affect the safety. And then the other part of the safety has to do with maintenance and cleaning, which would be food safety. All right, and that's a different subject, but it's certainly an important one. So read the chapter, make sure you have a good feel for all of the different pieces of equipment and what to look for them. All right, see you in the next one.